Every year, many mentally ill Texans languish in county jails. Incapable of standing trial, they wait in long lines for a bed in a state hospital to get the help they need before they can stand trial. As Texas's population booms, its leaders have met challenges in shrinking this backlog, something for years KXAN has documented through our Locked in Limbo project. Today, on a From the Vault edition of Inside the Investigation, our team shares updates to this topic still playing out today across the state.
Hello and welcome to a special From the Vault edition of our Inside the Investigation program. I'm KXAN Director of Investigations and Innovation, Josh Hinkle, joined today by Senior Investigative Producer, David Barrera. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So today we're going back into the vault to talk about our project from 2020 that's really spanned over several years called Locked in Limbo. We were looking all at the mental competency problem in the criminal justice system here in Texas. What started this project?
So this all started before the pandemic, and it started at a time when there was an increased focus on mental health issues. In society and in the legislature here. There was more of a focus at that time on trying to address mental health issues in terms of the criminal justice system. And so we were looking into that. I was discussing that with mental health experts in the state, and this issue came up that they were very concerned about at the time of people who were found incompetent to stand trial, being stuck in jail and unable to get into the state hospital system because of a backlog. And just for a little bit of background, when a person is charged with a crime, they're mentally ill, they are going to be stuck in jail if they're found mentally incompetent to stand trial, and they can't get out of jail until they get to a state hospital to get their competency restored. And that's a pretty low bar of being able to understand your own defense, being able to communicate with your attorney. And the problem at that time was that there was a backlog. They didn't have enough beds available to meet the demand. And so there was a wait list growing of people. Now, that's what got us started on it. We knew in Travis County, and in county jails across the state, they were having this issue. So we started looking into it and seeing if we could find people here that had been affected by that.
Yeah, and there were really, thousands of people, what we're talking about, when some of them were languishing on this list for years. And you mentioned the state hospital. That's the place where most often people get restoration, where they get the mental health treatment that they need to have their competency restored, go back to jail so then they can stand trial and actively participate in their defense. So some of the things that we found with this that were so challenging was that it's kind of like almost like a hidden system. It was difficult to pinpoint individuals on here that were willing to speak or have their families speak, but we eventually did that, and that really is what kind of like compelled this report forward, I think. Understanding that these were people that needed to get through the criminal justice system and were just stuck. That was really kind of a big challenge for us. But you mentioned also the pandemic. We launched this project right before the world really shut down for the pandemic. Luckily, we'd had most of those interviews done by that point, but I know it was very challenging for us to do things like write the project. I was editing the podcast from my home at the time because we were all, in lockdown and having to work from home. Our editor, Chris Nelson, had to edit the entire docuseries from, I don't even know where Chris was. Maybe he was like holed up in a closet or something, but he got it done and it turned out well. It was very compelling, but those were some extra challenges that we really haven't experienced with a project like this before.
Yeah, I don't think anyone had ever experienced anything like it before in our lifetimes. And it was difficult. Another aspect of the difficulty, and you just mentioned it, was finding people. And there is a stigma associated with mental illness and mental health issues. So it's not something that people are going around, just parading their information about, the time that they were having, those struggles. But we spoke with local groups who are advocates for people in this situation, and they helped connect us with people who have been affected.
Yeah, one of the groups we spoke with was NAMI Central Texas, and they were very integral in our conversations about getting past that stigma. And another interesting aspect that I really liked about this project was that we put some solutions journalism into it also, because restoration doesn't have to happen in a state hospital. And in fact, some experts think that that's not a great setting for many people. So there were some other solutions that some counties were trying, some experiments, jail-based restoration, and also outpatient treatment for some of the nonviolent offenders. And so I think that those were things we were able to explore, unlike some past projects, these Catalyst projects, that kind of gave this one a unique perspective. And it also spoke to lawmakers, I think, that were looking into this issue, that wanted to kind of explore some of those other alternative means of restoration. Senator Sarah Eckhart from here in Travis County and here in Austin, once the Travis County judge, has a particular interest in this project because of her background. She actually filed legislation during the years that we've been looking at this issue. Where did that legislation last leave off, and what's kind of happening with her involvement at this point?
Sarah Eckhart has been active, very vocal and active in this arena, trying to improve this situation for years. We followed legislation that she has filed to try to get more studies done of the state's ability to handle the wait list and their resources. She's also filed legislation to try to form sort of a better, like a division within Health and Human Services to oversee this and get that into the law. As we've been following her bills, they didn't pass. And so what comes next with her isn't exactly clear, because right now she's running for a different office. She's running for Texas Comptroller, and that's not in the legislative branch. So she would, if she wins, not be involved in this anymore, though she will retain her Senate seat if she doesn't prevail in that race. So we'll continue to talk with her about her future legislation.
Mm-hmm. And certainly there are other lawmakers that are interested in this topic. We've talked to a few over the years. We've also been closely following what the Health and Human Services Commission has been doing. Specifically, they have a committee that looks at the backlog, and we've been tracking the work that they've been doing. They have made improvements to try to bring the numbers down, and that's worked somewhat. They've been trying out different restoration alternatives. The wait list number has gone down, the wait time has gone down. It's still pretty high, but they're kind of chipping away at it little by little. The other thing when it comes to this committee that we had really taken a harder look at was the tracking that was being done. Some data that you would think would need to be tracked wasn't really being tracked as actively as what it could have been. We partnered with the USC Health Journalism Center to create a project that was kind of an offshoot of Locked in Limbo called Mental Competency Consequences. Because what we were finding in the data was that some people were dying on this wait list. They were waiting so long, not getting the treatment that they needed, that they were languishing to the point of death. Some of those things were very difficult for us to track down because there's not really a uniform tracking system between counties. So we had to go kind of county by county, case by case to figure this out. Mental competency consequences is also something that is still playing out. People do still die on the wait list, and that's something that we have made sure that as a news organization, we are getting front and center in front of lawmakers, policymakers, to make sure that they understand the gravity of the situation.
Yeah, and as you said, we've continued to watch and report on this. Amid our reporting, there was a bill filed in the legislature that mandated a study of the state hospital system's wait list and myriad issues there. And they did find that dozens of people had died over a number of years while waiting to get into a state hospital. These were mentally ill people who had been ordered to go to a state hospital, who couldn't get there because of the backlog, and they died while they were waiting.
a lot of sad stories, a lot of hopeful stories that we've been able to tell through the families that have participated in this project. One of the ones that always sticks out to me was from the original Locked in Limbo series, and we've continued kind of following their story as we go. Maria Esparza was the mother of Adon Castaneda, who was a Marine who, once he came back from serving, had a mental health episode and ended up shooting up his family's home. That landed him in jail, and he bounced back and forth between jail and state hospital for years, several times. I know that we've kept up with him over the years. What is the latest that you've heard from Maria and Adon?
Yeah, so as you said, Maria and her son Adon Castaneda went through this whole saga, this legal saga with him bouncing back and forth between the state hospital and the jail. That was over 10 years ago. And so I did get an update from them, and Adon is doing really well now. He's living on his own in San Antonio, and he's staying really busy. He has published books. And I'm going to check my notes here because she gave me a variety of things and he reached out to me too. He's working to stay healthy and active. He's taken flight lessons. He's taken up bookkeeping. He also became a recovery coach. He adopted his brother's oldest daughter. And he's just maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So he's doing really well. He also reached out to me and let me know that he's gotten cybersecurity certificates. So he's become proficient in IT cybersecurity matters. And then he's also been approved as a plumber's apprentice. And he said, I'll just read the quote that he gave me because I thought it was nice. But I just always remind myself to keep a positive outlook on life, keep a positive mental attitude, be kind to people, help others if possible, and enjoy life. So he seems to be doing really well right now.
That's really good to hear. It was a sad situation to see a family have to go through that for so long. I'm glad that it has turned out well for them. For so many other families, though, it's still a waiting game. And the other side of this conversation is some families are the victims of crimes and they're waiting for the criminal justice system to catch up so justice can be served. So I think there's a lot of things that go into this that a lot of people don't think about, which is why you need to check out our Locked in Limbo series that we've linked below in the story if you're watching it on KXAN.com, or you can watch it also on the KXAN Plus app. But for now, here at the State Capitol, I'm Josh Hinkle and this is David Barrera. We want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You can watch all new episodes of Inside the Investigation on the KXAN Plus Smart TV app every Friday. You can also listen to an audio version on KXAN's Investigative podcast with new episodes every Saturday morning wherever you get podcasts.